In this video, I will quickly review the system requirement, which is one of the most important steps of system analysis and design. So when we talk about requirement, it's basically a statement of what a system must do for the end user, or some of the characteristics that a system must have. So what are these different types of requirements? We have business requirements, which are about what the business needs are from the system. We have user requirements, which is what end user is seeking for from the system. We have functional requirement, which is any feature, any functionality that the software must have. And then non-functional requirement, which is the characteristics of the system at hand. And finally, we have system requirements, which is the ways a system should be built. So business requirement, for instance, is that our business needs to handle records of all customers. User requirements, we can say that an end user of the system should be able to run queries and search through the customers using different functions and different elements. Functional requirements are the way the system should work and the actions that we're expecting the system to do. For instance, the system should be able to store records of all the customers. The system should give us access to purchase history of customers for the last 5 years. And non-functional requirements are different in a way that they're not what system do, but they're what system is. For instance, the system should be able to respond to user queries in less than 3 seconds. Or the system should have company's logo on top. And finally, the system requirements are basically hardware and software requirements for the system to work. So let's go through them more quickly. User requirements, what user needs to do, focuses on user tasks. They're integral to our business, and it's important for us to understand what users needs before we go in, because finally we want the system to respond to what end user was seeking for. More importantly, we are always pay close attention to functional requirements. Functional requirements can be in two forms. It could be either a process that system can perform. An example I gave you, for instance, the system should be able to store customers' information or pull up data when an end user or an employee runs a query. Or functional requirement, it could be an information the system should provide. Let's say the system must be able to have tax history of all the customers. Let's say this is a system for H&R Block. We need to be able to store tax information of all customers for the last 10 years. The system should be able to store information about 350 million users. Let's say this is a system for Social Security. These are some more examples. Process-oriented, the system must check incoming customer orders for inventory availability. An example of information-oriented would be that the system must include real-time inventory data. And then we have non-functional requirements. Again, any characteristic that the system should have, but it's not something that system does. Operational could be the physical and technical operating environment. Let's say all the systems should run Windows 10. Performance is about the speed and capacity and reliability. The systems, for instance, should be fast enough to respond to queries in less than 2 seconds. Security is all about access and all the safeguards we need to have. Let's say no employee should have access to information of all other employees. Only managers should be able to see this information. And we have culture and political. For instance, our systems work in North America, so we need to have Canadian dollar and US dollar as currencies that are valid in our system. If I want to show you some other examples, operational, for instance, the system should run on Android mobile phones. For performance, we can say The system supports 300 simultaneous users from 9 to 11 a.m. and 150 for all other times. Securities only direct managers can see staff personnel records. And for culture, we can say all the policy. We have a company policy to buy computers only from Dell, which is very important for our decisions. Or personal information is protected in compliance with the Data Protection Act.